Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. This is number 7 of 8 of our town hall meetings that we've had. I know Kelly is on her way with the forms, so that you can fill those out. But I'm going to give multiple updates first before we get started. And thanking you all for coming and participating. The next one, the last one will be at City Hall in December, and it will be, well, is it December? Let me look at the date. I said that. The last one is going to be held at City Hall, and it's going to be very similar to what we did with the first one, where you'll have all of the department heads set up with tables, able to talk directly to the individual departments and ask questions and get answers. So that's the goal for that day. So a couple of things I want to start with. The first one is the homelessness and the population and some of the things that have occurred. We're going to deal with that first. So I want to make sure I give you some updates because I know that 2 weeks ago we had a meeting with several department heads and with some business owners and with several of the service providers for the homeless. And, you know, we know that we want safe spaces and clean spaces and it to be welcoming. But we also know that there's a lot of drama behind homelessness right now at this time. So a couple of things that we learned in that meeting specifically was that our men's overnight homeless shelter is the only one between South Bend over to Lake County, all the way down to Lafayette, which is problematic because we see the uptick. We talked about it. We talked about, you know, not recognizing people that are in our community. Typically, you know, the families of these folks. These are not people that I've ever seen before. And so I think the unintended consequences of that is that we're seeing a lot of folks in our downtown area that have no intention on becoming housed. I don't know how else to say it. That's my opinion. You take it for what it's worth. But tragically, you know, we had a stabbing, you know, earlier this week on one of our residents in Elston Grove. He's stabilized, still critical. You know, we're praying for his family, but that person was a resident of a homeless shelter here. And I've asked the shelter, we have a meeting tomorrow with their board of directors to discuss it because it's unacceptable that we're drawing people into our city that are not Michigan City residents who are causing problems. Now, I will say too, we cannot give money and sack lunches to our homeless populations. We need to guide them to services. And I mean that in the most empathetic way. I do. What we learned in that meeting with the service providers is that people are bringing them sack lunches and they're leaving their garbage where they are. They're dropping the garbage right there, where they're at, right? We don't have public restrooms downtown, so they're urinating, pooping, defecating on business property. Again, I know we have Assistant Chief Shaparsky here. I know they've put together from that meeting, you know, they put together a new schedule for foot patrols in that area. But the best deterrent is not to engage, give money, provide lunches, all of that to these people who are sitting there loitering in most cases. Now, let me say the good part of the shelter. 60% of the people in the shelter are working. It's that 40% that's not working that are causing the issues. So we have to figure out a way to deter that. In other cities, they've closed their single men's shelters. And I do believe that we do need emergency shelter for families, especially families with children. I think that should be the priority. Also, I know that we have been working on, and this is what's interesting. We had this when we had the massage parlors, right? It's all over Facebook, keyboard warriors, whatever you want to call them. We had been doing an actual investigation for months. It takes time to get the information that you need to make those arrests. You can't just, we want people to be convicted. So in order to do that, you have to investigate, you have to do some things in the meantime. It may not be fast enough for the community, but we just had a drug bust in that area between Franklin, 11th Street, and Barker Avenue. We did have a drug bust also this week because we know that we see what we call zombie culture and what that looks like. But again, it takes time for us to do the work, and the police department does a fantastic job of that. So I did want to make sure you knew some of the things that were happening. I know tomorrow we have another meeting with service providers around food insecurity, but some of these are the same homeless shelters that participated 2 weeks ago. The other thing is the City Council has called a Public Safety Committee meeting on homelessness on November 19th. If you could write that down. It will be at City Hall in the EOC room. So I wanted to make sure that you knew that. I know we have a follow-up meeting as well to bring a few more additional folks into the conversation. Several things came from that meeting that are follow-up action items. So I did want to give you that update. I know that Kelly is passing around some things. Also, I want to acknowledge, I know we have department heads in here. Our new state rep, Randy Novak, is in the back. Wave, Randy, if y'all have any questions for him. I thought I saw council people. I thought I saw city council folks. Oh, Councilman Tim Beatrice, and I think you're the only one. All right, just want to make sure I acknowledge them. So I'm giving all my updates first. Did you bring the leaf pickup schedule? All right, leaf pickup schedule is over there. SOLA, redevelopment property transfers. I know at the senior center, I have coffee with the seniors, and this came up the other day. And I know there's been a lot of noise and speculation online about the SOLA redevelopment project, and I want to make sure I clarify a couple of things. Every step of the process was vetted by attorneys and structured to protect Michigan City. We follow state law, best practices to ensure that we retain control of that property. Several years ago, there was a project at Pine Street that cost us, the project never happened. It cost us approximately $3 million and almost 7 years worth of wasted time because we transferred the property to the developer, right? So here's the truth, and I'm gonna read these. The Redevelopment Commission owned the former News Dispatch site. We know where it's at, next to City Hall. In order to create this economic improvement district required by state statute, the property has to be temporarily transferred to a for-profit LLC because the government entities are not allowed by law to initiate that petition. So it had to be done. They were established with the help of the Economic Development Corporation in Michigan City to protect our interests. And that board of directors, and I'm on that board, we voted to do that, okay? If the developer fails to close or proceed, the LLCs will simply transfer the land back to the Redevelopment Commission with no financial loss to taxpayers. So that's the truth. All this other stuff and conspiracy theories, you don't think we had the attorneys draft all this to make sure we were in compliance? That would be stupidity not to do that. But we spent almost $3 million on Pine Street for a project that never got done because we transferred the land to people who didn't have the money. Okay? And that's the honest to goodness truth. So I wanted to make sure I clear that up. So we're trying to focus on responsible redevelopment and not rumors. All right. I'll continue down my list. Please fill out your forms, and we'll take those in as I get them, and we'll continue on that. The others, I want to talk about the data breach. I know I got that here somewhere. I know we start sending stuff out to the employees. So I did share an update, and we're still, it's a process. I don't know how many of you have experienced a data breach with your insurance company, your banking, all those things. It takes a little time for forensics to happen, and we're still in the midst of that with our cybersecurity insurance and all of our partners. But again, on September 23rd, we experienced a disruption to our computer network, which I've shared. On October 5th, we learned the full scope of the data that had been accessed or acquired. There's approximately about 5% of all of the data that we have on all of our servers. That's about the gist of it. So we're in the midst of reviewing, but putting together all the formal notifications, even though we're doing preliminary notifications. Formal notifications actually come through our insurance company that we're utilizing for that. But there are steps that you can take to protect yourself. We're giving all this to the employees, but anybody that we think may be impacted, we're giving them a preliminary notice, even though a formal notice will be going out by October 12th. So I did want to give that. They asked for a ransom of about $500,000, but we had multiple backups of all of the files that were listed. So they didn't hold us hostage because we already had our files. So that was the, thank goodness. Our IT team caught it within an hour of what was happening. So we wanted to make sure that the public knew that we're still in the forensic investigation piece of that. So, and let me see what else I have on my list. Foot Patrol, I think that is. Couple of updates. The City Council passed the budget. We didn't have any changes, pretty flat this year. 2% raise for all the employees. Really looking at our medical costs, our insurance costs, they've skyrocketed. So that was one of the big things. We have several grants that have been submitted. Fire, we haven't heard on that one yet, but with government shutdown, that was through FEMA. We may not hear about the results of that. We also submitted Safe Streets. I submitted that last month. Our fiscal year submissions to Congress, they're shut down. We have 2 of those. Just submitted a child hunger grant, $25,000, and then our CCMG grant was submitted this week, and I submitted $150,000 match for an opioid street team and youth outreach grant last week to the state of Indiana. And so those are all outstanding that we're waiting to hear from. CCMG, I did want to give some of the areas that are going to be done. And Michigan Boulevard, the biggest piece is Michigan Boulevard from Carroll down to Vale Street. That is the biggest arterial, principal arterial road that was submitted in this grant. Also, and the grant is $1 million, $1 million match. Several on the west side and several near the downtown area. And the money is coming from our restricted funds and also $600,000 from the Redevelopment Commission. So that's how we're covering the cost of that match. Let's see. And my last one, before I start taking note cards, is Royal Road and the data center. To give you an update on that. So there is a dispute between the operators union and Phoenix that the city is not a part of. Again, this is a private development. I know people want us to be in it, but I will say that I did talk to Phoenix, and they have shared with me a website that they have started developing. And the website is going to have all the pertinent information that y'all keep calling us for. All right? They're going to list all the permits they're pulling, if they get a citation, if they get anything is going on that website. I said, listen, unless you're going to pay for more employees for us to take care of this, you need to do something about it. Because we're getting inundated with requests about your stuff. So they are going to actually put a placeholder, and they're going to list all permits that they pull. If they get anything from IDEM or anything from anybody, it's going to go on that website so that the public can see it. We'll have a link on our website to get there so that you can see in real time everything that's happening. I know that, again, there are numerous, and I didn't list all the unions that are on site, but I know that we have the carpenters, the electricians, laborers, glaziers, and a lot of local companies that are working on that project. But there is a dispute between the operators and Phoenix, not the city. City has nothing to do with this in their dispute. I did bring them to the table to have a conversation, and that's where they're at. That was over a month ago. And I know that they've had multiple conversations. Now there's a dispute on property and picketing. So that's my update for that. So Kelly, you can start handing your cards over to Kelly. I did want Mr. Kelly and Chris. I know that they've been working weekends and doing some alley cleanups, but also provided me with a list of pickups that they've been doing. But I've approved all the overtime that they need as far as garbage and all those things. Thank you. All right. Oh. Any word? Good job. Make sure we get all of them. No questions on these. No question. Any word on the halfway house drug rehabilitation facility originally planned for the corner of Ann and Wabash Street? So, yes, alternate sites, yes, have been offered. One of the things that you will see, and I've already talked to the attorney, is that I'm asking her to give the city council an ordinance protecting any of our transit development districts and our TIF districts from any nonprofits purchasing buildings in those areas. Because I don't know if you understand that nonprofits don't generate tax revenues. And the tax revenues in those areas are to generate infrastructure improvements and to build new businesses, right? And if we allow nonprofits to purchase in those areas, that kind of defeats the purpose of those districts. So there are several cities in Indiana that have already done that. So we're just going to take those ordinances and try to do something very similar in our transit development district and our TIF areas. And that area over there by St. Anthony's, the old site, is a part of our transit development district. So the goal is to get that done sooner than later. So negotiations, we're not a part of any negotiations. Like I said, our goal is to stop that from happening in that area. So the site that I suggested to them is not in the downtown area, uptown area, or anywhere. It's actually near a medical facility, which I think is better than being in a neighborhood. So. All right. Ooh, what are rules for electric scooters? They ride multiple people on sidewalks near my home. Kyle, anybody know what that is? I have no idea. Electric scooters?
Like the bike, like the electric bikes, or
No.
Okay.
Those Razor scooters. 2 and 3 kids on a scooter, my husband. Razor scooters. They're electric. 2 and 3 kids riding on the sidewalk. My husband's trying to walk our German Shepherd. They come up behind him. And then they're yelling at him because our dog is ready to attack because that's what her job is, to protect her old people she lives with.
Thank you. All right. I'll follow up on that. Kelly, you got that? Electric scooters? So they're the Razors,
Well,
all types? Okay.
Most of the kids in my neighborhood are on the thin ones. 2 and 3.
I just want you all to know you need to fill out your cards because I'm going to continue and start having department heads start giving reports. So you need to fill out your cards if you have a question or concern. Vector can't. Okay. Let's see. DuPage and Cleveland. Okay. So there's a question about trees and watershed at the park on DuPage and Cleveland. It says the trees are damaging fence and create unsafe walking on sidewalk. What I'll need, and what I'll do is give this to Phil Graff. Daryl, give this to Phil Graff to take a look at it. Phil Graff is our contracted forester, arborist. And just to give an update, I know that trees have been planted. I know we replanted a couple more, but just know that next spring when we do this planting again, if you see markings in your yard and you don't want a tree, you really need to let us know before they're planted, okay? But we will make sure we follow up on that and to make sure that if it's on the list of trees that need to be removed, we'll take care of it.
These
No,
are not.
This is hers.
This is mine. This is not trees. These are trees that have left seeds there along the fence around the police park.
Okay.
You can't walk on this sidewalk, and when you're making the curve to come back up DuPage, if you're walking your German Shepherd and another person is walking their German Shepherd, you are going to meet face to face.
So
I've called
Vector.
Vector twice. I've asked them. They said it's not their responsibility. It is the person that does the police department stuff. Well, last year, Vector did it, and they cut them all the way down, and I suggested they absolutely drill a hole in each root and poison it, so it won't come back.
So
You've got
Brett is here. I'll have Brett take a look at it.
Okay, you got an expensive fence that's going to fall down sooner or later.
Expired plates and on roads and parked permanently in valuable spots on streets. I've given that to Jesse, to Greg Jesse. But again, we have several, the abandoned cars. We know that is an issue and we need to take care of it, but we need to get Captain Jesse.
he's on it.
Yes, on these, because we know that is happening. Another card. All right, Brett, Chris, you're up. To talk about the last few weeks.
I don't need it. So I can talk loud. I'm gonna use this podium.
Right.
Do some things here. Good evening, Brett Kelly. I'm Director of the Vector Control Department here in the city of Michigan City. Vector Central Services is part of Vector and Street Department. We've been working diligently, and I'm talking about diligently. There's been some angst about the cleanliness of the city. And I just want to let people know what we're actually doing. I guess anything could be improved, but I'm going to put some numbers out here to let the public know exactly what the Vector Department and the Street Department is doing. We're part of Central Services. Thus far, since June to now, October 30th, the Street Department has made 281 pickups of household. 281. Vector has made 206 pickups of household, okay? For a total of 487 pickups, okay?
This is outside of refuse.
This is outside of refuge. This is central services, okay? We've had, at the cost to the city, $22,000, 548,000 pounds, which equates to 274 tons of household that we've picked up in the city of Michigan City since June, I'm sorry, at the cost of $22,000. Also, just litter, just things that are on the ground, my department is responsible for that. Thus far, we've picked up 3 tons, 6,000 pounds of litter in the city in the last 4 months. I'll be giving the mayor the final number for those litter pickups. So we're working diligently to get things done, because my cliche, the mayor knows, a clean city is an inviting city. Her charge to me was, Brett, get the city cleaned up, and I take that charge seriously. So if there's any questions, I'm here to answer, I should say.
So,
Yes.
well, let me add a couple of things before we take questions. So that doesn't include refuse, which is our regular garbage pickup. Also, as we talked about what's been happening on Franklin Street, and this garbage and people leaving the garbage wherever, even in the ditches, we found bags of stuff. We find hypodermic needles, we find all those things that have to be handled a little bit differently. One thing that I've charged them with, if you see a needle, immediately abate the whole property. Just abate it, because it's a safety risk. And bill the owner. That's where we're at when it comes to safety. The other piece of that is that we know that we have some encampments as well. That's a whole nother conversation, but the trash in these areas are ridiculous amounts of trash, and we're asking that the owners of these properties give us trespassing abilities. And the police department, we're asking them to go to businesses and owners, use our attorney to make sure that we identify these LLCs that have these properties, so that we can reach out to them, and that way we don't have to wait until we can contact someone to trespass someone that's on the property or camping out. The other part of that, and sometimes it takes for the departments to be in the same room together, is that whenever we have board ups, it's getting cold. We want to make sure that we don't have squatters moving into these boarded up homes, trashing them. And so they know now, even with the board ups, that they can automatically abate those yards. Because you'll see board ups and the grass is up to here. They know now that they can automatically abate those properties. And we'll just keep adding that, keep putting the line item, pricing them out, and putting it on those properties. So that is a thing that is happening. Yes, ma'am.
I do have a couple questions regarding that. Are these properties that somebody has called you about, or are these properties that you're driving around and find?
Both.
Well, actually, it's you could say both, but we could say both, but I and my assistant spend a lot of time eyeballing these problems. We're out riding and looking for these problem areas to keep the city clean. But there is some call-ins. There is.
Yep.
And my other question would be, I probably can be heard too, but my other question is, you use the word abate. Does this mean if you are called via somebody else other than that property and you're driving by, you have the property to abate, clean up, enter?
Now, if
No.
there's a board up,
Hold on. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Let me, just to clarify why this is, if we don't have you talk into the microphone, we're not going to be able to hear you. When other people try to watch this later, they're not going to be able to have heard what you said if we don't have you guys on the microphone. I really appreciate you guys' cooperation.
Thank you. If there is a board up, as Madam Mayor just said, now we have the authority to go ahead and do that. Now, prior to that, if the grass, we have a section 102-1. If your grass is 6 inches or higher, we give you notice and you have 5 days to take care of that problem. If you do not take care of that problem in 5 days, then my department, the Vector Department, comes out and we mow the grass, do whatever needs to be done. That is called an abatement. We put an abatement on your property. We charge $375 an hour to be on your property. But now, since we've got the okay to do the board ups, we're just going in and doing them. So yes and no, we do get some calls and then we do go out and look at things.
I also have a question about the litter that you're talking about. Could, and that's the word you used, litter, correct?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like you to explain litter to me. I mean, again, I'm just curious because I like to get the total picture, and it doesn't seem like I am when this seems to be a popular subject of mine. Trash, litter, refuge. Here. Thank you.
Be glad to explain it to you. What is considered litter is trash that's in the easements, loose paper, tires, rubbish. And we go in ditches and we go in the alleys and we clean this litter up. And these are loose items, not the items that I'm talking about as far as household. So it's a difference. Household could be your couch, your mattress, or whatever, but litter is in a different category. So I have my guys actually out there picking up paper in ditches and people that throw tires out. And one thing that I would like to say here, I wish the citizens of Michigan City would take pride and not put that out. I want to tell a little story.
Go ahead.
My granddaughter, she's a cheerleader for Michigan City Wolves. She was out, they were doing the tagging at Walmart. And a gentleman dropped a piece of paper. She says, "Excuse me, sir, can you pick that up? Because my pawpaw worked hard to keep the city clean." I said, "Baby, be careful. You can't say that to everybody. You'll get in trouble." But it's a culture that we have to stress and that we have to change in Michigan City. If we want all this development, again, a clean city is an inviting city.
I'm sure then I probably need an apology because when I saw Victor Control, in fact, you're on one of my, on my list tonight. And I primarily refer to that as someone who takes care of the crazy animals or the wild bugs or the creatures that might be bothering us. But obviously Vector does not include just that, and I can see out of my other eye that the mayor is shaking her head too. So I'm very happy to hear that, because yes, I do too. I think that it's very important. It's just like garbage people or trash pickup. When they're doing people's personal garbage or trash pickup, it is also really important for them to be accurate about getting it into whatever container they're taking from us to put into theirs, so that the homeowners do not have to go out into the middle of the public street and sweep up after them. And that just seems like it's a perfectly good time to mention this also. And Mike, make your job a little easier too, that trash I was talking about.
Yeah. And let me, because I know that, I got a microphone. Chris, we have Chris Carter and Ted Woodard there. If you could talk about what you all have been doing on the weekends as well.
Okay.
No problem. So I'm Chris Carter, Superintendent of Michigan City Refuse. This is Foreman Ted Woodard. He's been particularly diligent and involved in the special pickups, which is what Mr. Kelly talked about, which is the household pickup, the furniture and what have you not. So we basically, we were trying to run a list. We worked areas, we would see areas that were cluttered up, and we would go out, we take out like a payloader in the dump truck, and we would work those areas, and as they're doing, we're trying to clean up area by area. So that's what we've been doing on the weekends. You know, the extra garbage, the furniture and what have you not. It's just an eyesore when it's out. So we try to get it up. A lot of people, they want to know, can you get it such and such date? And we can't guarantee a date because once we get into an area, it's like, we don't know how long we're going to be over there because we're trying to get the whole areas cleaned up. We're trying to get a little more structure so now that people can get on the list and then we can work a list. Me and the mayor are having conversations. So the good thing is I heard the website will be up and running soon, and then we'll have hopefully we'll work out some things and have announcements on there. But Mr. Woodard and his crew have been working very hard on the weekends, overtime, to clean up the city. And, you know, we're working with everybody the best that we can. Like I said, when we identify an area that needs cleanup, we make sure that we pay a lot of attention to it. Eastport and the west side, we can say we've been giving a lot of attention over there. You know, we've been trying to really keep it cleaned up. And like I said, we're trying to work with the citizens the best we can. So we're
What
going
about
to
the
constantly
alleys?
hammer
Can
at
you
it.
talk about the alley cleanups? And then also, if people want pickups, do you want them in the alley or do you want them in the front?
The alleys present a challenge for us because it's so narrow. We got a payloader right now. I got bad tires on it because it's running through the alleys. So it's like everyone's putting a lot of trash out at one time. We would like for everybody to put stuff on the curb and let us know, and then we come pick it up on the curb because it'll be easier for us to get to it. The hope is we've been doing sweeps since last year. We would like to try to reduce everything down to one item, be easier for us to pick up. We got new equipment we're trying to get. We're working on that can help us to, because if we put it in the front, it's easier for us to go through the area quicker. So we're not spending a lot of time. When it's in the alleys, it's like we got to go in the alleys, we got to go in the streets, so we're in and out. If it's just in one area like in the streets, then we don't have to comb through the alleys. You know, I know for some people, they will prefer the alley because they don't have to see it in the front, but we're getting better on time. So if you put it in the front, it'll be easier for us to run through the area and pick it up. And, you know, if we limit everything to like one item, I know a lot of people have been putting out piles of garbage at a time, and that kind of slows us down a little bit, but you know, we're trying to accommodate the best we can. But if we can get like one item, a mattress, a couch here and there, get it in the front, it'll just make it quicker for us to get through the area, and then we can move on to the next area. We want every part of Michigan City to get the same equal treatment. You know what I mean? And that helps us to get through the city a whole lot quicker.
All right, thank you. And a question said, what can be done about trash receptacles and recycling receptacles which are never removed from the street? That came to the office earlier this week as well. There's one street in particular where those receptacles, I think I don't know if they're snowbirds, but those areas, if you let us know, we'll have our team push them up against the house. Because you're supposed to take them in every day. They're not supposed to stay out continuously on the curb. That is an ordinance. So you need to take your receptacles and put them away. This question, thank you. This question, yep, you're good. When a renter leaves a delinquent water bill, the landlord is stuck with the sewer portion, and you may have to answer this one. You are essentially letting one person run up another debt without their knowledge. Debt needs to stay with the bad actor. We've been working through that. I'm going to let you answer that question, because I know that you all have been working on this.
Absolutely. Wendy Vacher, Public Works Director, so happy to answer that. So the debt goes with the land on the sewer. That is the law. So when we send out our delinquency bills, they go to both the address of record and you'll say the account holder, and the property address. That way we're notifying the renter and the property owner. If they're the same, then we only have to send one notice. If they're different, they get two. And so that's the law. And if it's, particularly with sewer, which we're working a lot on our billing, the notices go out on a regular basis. We have to do liens. So if the bill is not paid, then the lien is put on the property. That's state law. And so that is what we are trying to do. Now, we're also looking at other creative ways to be able to try to reduce the lien amount, the amount of time we spend on liens. And so perhaps deposits, perhaps other things that would help be more effective. And those are in progress, and we'll be sure to give an update as soon as we have more information.
Thank you. First one, and I know Dave,
Oh, go ahead.
yes, we're doing these. So if you got a card, we're going to get these first. What is the building department permitting backlog and numbers? Where's David Albers? Oh, over here. What is the building department permitting backlog and numbers? I don't know that number. How long does it take to get a building permit and how to speed this up? So let me start with, we were at 6 weeks at one point in getting a building permit. I know that several types of permits have been sped up, but I also know that they're working through our cloud permit software. With any software, you got to work the bugs out. You got to work the kinks out. Let me say this. Historically, with building permits too, know that people didn't necessarily, where's Sue? There's Sue. She's trying to hide. Didn't necessarily provide all the information that is required. A lot of missing information and expectations that we can read people's minds. And that's not necessarily the case. And now that we're trying to be more efficient, we need you to give us the information that we request for these permits. So I'll, Dave, let you give some updates and give some numbers on
Yeah.
cloud permit.
Yeah, so as far as the current backlog, we have about 70 currently in review. That's a pretty steady in review number for us, but we're still issuing over 200 a month. I do have some stats. So to date, we've received over 2,400 applications. We've issued over 1,500 building permits, which includes.
Since when?
Since March.
Since March.
So we started using Cloud Permit in March. We've had, I'm not sure how many permits off the top of my head what we issued prior to that. It was maybe, what do you think, Ferris, like 50? Something about.
It wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't that many. And then we've also gotten over 700 contractors registered in the system too. But to the mayor's point, a lot of times these applications will sit in review because we're waiting on additional information from people. And the reason why we want that additional information is to get it right before you start the project, because otherwise you run the risk of the inspector coming out to do an inspection and it's not right per building code. Well, then that contractor has to then spend the time and you're holding up your project because something's not per code. So we're trying to get it right from the get-go during the application review so that we can then get it issued and then we're not holding you up during inspections. But the current,
And the changes that you kind of made to kind of speed that up too, as far as like some of the disclaimers and things like that.
yeah, we've added disclaimers to the permit to make it very clear by law, by code, it is on the contractor and or homeowner to comply with all building codes regardless of what our reviews say. But yeah, if that answers the question.
Yes. Any questions around building permits? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm kidding. Is there a way you can put like a tier system for permits? Because like my $1,500 drywall permit shouldn't be on the same level as a new construction build.
I agree. We've talked about it.
Yeah, and we are trying to
I know it's not an
segregate
overnight
those
solution.
things. It's been a first come, first serve. We're trying to get people through. But going back to that point where we're waiting on information for a permit because they don't have the right drawing or whatever, then we go back and we're diving into some of those more simple, quick review, and then we're able to issue. But we're getting that down to under a week for those simple ones. There's a couple that hang out there. There's a couple that slip through the cracks, admittedly. And you can always reach out to us at inspections@emichigancity.com. The phones are a bit of an issue right now because of the
Data breach.
but yeah.
Yeah, everything. I saw another hand on building permits. Thought I did. All right, well, let me read the next question. People have yard services that leave loose yard waste for the city to collect outside of spring and fall cleanups. Is that allowed? You've been picking those up, haven't you? But what are the rules? You might as well take him the microphone. What are the rules regarding yard waste and how many cans?
Okay, so the rule is 4 32-gallon cans that are not damaged, that have the handles on them. The weight limit is under 70 pounds. If you do use compost bags, we ask that you put them in the cans, because if they sit out, they get wet, get moist. I did it. I was on the back of a truck picking up grass, went to pick a bag up, the bottom fell out because it sat out in the rain. So, we asking that everyone puts it in a can, 32 gallons, nothing over that. And keep a lid on it if you can. Don't put it out till the day of pickup, especially with the weather increments like it is, getting ready to change. If you put your can out there all week with no lid on it, it rains, now the can's full of water, makes it heavier. So yeah, if we can, leave the lids on them, don't put it out until the day of your pickup. And we're doing compost pickup the same day as your garbage. Now, some people have been tempted to put the compost in the garbage because they think that truck is picking up both, but it's not. There is a separate truck that picks up compost because we can take that somewhere else and dump it. So that's what we're asking of the people. Don't mix the garbage and the compost together. We've had a couple of those incidents, and that's what leads to the damage on the can, because that compost is in there and we're trying to dump it out. That weight on the bottom of the can, sometimes it slips off the arm, it'll crash down, crack the bottom of the can. So that's why when you see a lot of people cans at the bottom damaged, that's sometimes what leads to it.
One last question. Where are we on replacement garbage cans?
We got a stock in, so we're going through the list. We're doing pretty good on that. We're replacing damaged ones. We're trying to keep everybody at 2. Everything is case by case. So we do have some in. Working on the list. We're trying to get out people cans. We're asking everyone, when you get a can, please, even your old ones, put your addresses on them. Put your address, you can paint it on there, stencil it on there. So that way, because a lot of times people will come down the alley, take your can and put it at their house. We have numbers that we record, but it'd just be easier for us, if the address is on there. And they have to stay at the property. The other day, I was riding in my personal car and I was going down the street and I seen a guy with a trailer that had 10 city containers and 5 recycle cans. Like, where is he going with this? And I'm not in my vehicle to go, pull him over and ask him why he's doing it. So we asked that the cans stay at the residence, and we asked that you put your address on there. It'll make it easier for us.
All right, thank you. Yes.
I definitely have a multitude of questions on this one. I guess I am thoroughly confused from the get-go. And obviously, I was at the last town board meeting, too, when I brought this subject up. And I think that was called trash. Well, since then, I thought maybe I ought to do a little bit of research. And the first place I thought I should go would be to pull the ordinance, see what it says. Because I can't seem to get 2 people that I know, or 2 people anywhere, that have the same answers, or that have the same experiences, or are at the same degree of unhappiness. And so, in my mind, when I researched that whole thing that I have 2 pages of here, we should determine the city container, which I believe is called CART.
Yes.
That is all, for anybody listening to, that the blue container that Mr.
Carter.
Carter, that Mr. Carter is referring to, that is owned by the city. And the city owns it. It's theirs. Put your name on it, but they own it. It's called a cart. And there is an extremely long list of things that can go in it, that can't go in it. I'm not quite sure where that line is drawn. And I read the entire ordinance. And it's not clear. I have 2 pages of notes here that when I go through them, that doesn't make any sense.
Can I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
Let me make a suggestion, because I know we sent a mailer out too. So the ordinance was just changed at the end of last year? End of last year? Let's set up some time specifically, because we can go through the ordinance and do all that, but I do want to get through all the questions, because I do understand what you're saying, and we can set up time to do that.
Yes, definitely, because I
Yes.
have that, the new ordinance.
Yes.
And, it should start with when we speak this evening then, as long as we can go through all of this, is that distinguish. Remember, everyone, the garbage container is called the cart that the city has. Ours are-
And I think also too, because we haven't really started we went through this whole process of talking about fees, and I said, no, just go get it. We're probably gonna have to do another full workshop just around trash. And I think that would be probably helpful, because I think there are a lot of questions
Absolutely.
around our clippings, what goes in those, what can you put on the curb, what can't you put inside the garbage can.
Absolutely.
And, different ways, clean outs, all of that. So I
So-
think it deserves an actual meeting.
So could we agree on the cart being the city's ownership? And
Yeah, we
that-
own them, we pay for them, we buy them.
Right.
All of
right.
that.
And that everything else is called yard waste container, because I believe those are the words I got out of this. So we do definitely need to talk about this, because people don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
And we just talked about beautifying the city, and we talked about trees. May I say that if you want more trees, you know what you get is more leaves.
Yes.
That's a big issue.
You ain't never lied. All right, I'm gonna go back to, so let me finish this one. How can the city be more prickly regarding vagrants? And I don't know if, what existing tools do police have, less welcoming? So a couple of things, and I started with that when we started the meeting. I know for the panhandlers, we've been issuing warnings to the panhandlers. Again, best deterrent is don't give them anything. That's the best deterrent, right? And then if you see anyone that is in a right-of-way on the street, that are in the street, you can contact the police. They should not be in medians, down on the highway. Those are safety hazards, and they should not be doing that. And I know,
Question about that. Just like, if they're not like in the street, but they're like, let's say defecate in front of like your property downtown or something.
we talked about that. I'll bring it back up.
Oh, no, I'm just asking, should we call you guys about that too?
Yes.
Okay. What do you do about it?
Yes.
When that happens, what's the
But
procedure?
this is the thing. If you have video footage, or you catch somebody doing, take a picture. That's what we need to do. They need to be arrested.
Okay, and then so once we take if we take a picture and then we give it to you, and then on the street, and then this is the guy, and then somebody's gonna arrest him.
No, I'm not saying all that. I'm not saying all that. There's still a process. I know. Yes. But it said what existing tools, but panhandling, that's one thing. Again, I have a meeting with the homeless shelter tomorrow to have a full conversation about the single men's overnight shelter, because I have my own concerns with that. How do we prevent the other communities from sending their homeless to Michigan City? Again, my suggestion, and I'll tell you what my comments are going to be to them specifically, that they prioritize families with children as far as emergency shelter. Families with children, families. Prioritize them. That's what we need. For the rest of them, find out where they're from, and we have some money set aside. We'll give them a ticket to where they came from. We'll give them a bus ticket, a train ticket, whatever they need, so that they can go back to wherever they're from to connect to their families. Because what is happening, I still believe that we're getting people from other communities because they know they can stay here through the winter and have a place to sleep, know that they're going to get a meal during the day from somewhere, and that's why they're here, because we're enabling it. I do believe that. Yes, sir.
The people seeking the services at these places, they say that you have to be a LaPorte County resident. These 501c3 groups, are they legally allowed to take people and establish residency for them here in LaPorte County?
I don't know that answer, if they can establish residency for them. That's something I'll have to follow up with the groups tomorrow. I'm in a meeting with them at 9 o'clock tomorrow. I'll ask that question.
I see it daily. I've seen it for 12 years. They ship them in here, and there's a van that brings them in at the farmer's market parking lot. They drop them off in front of the library in Ubers, and then they walk around with their pamphlets for Keys to Hope, the trustee, the township trustee, and all the services for them.
And what we're compiling is a list very similar to give them for other cities and communities. So we've started that. So we're going to hand out our own and say, here's some cities where you can go and do the same.
There's a group that's shuttling them from
And we're going to shovel them back.
County, LaPorte County.
I mean, that's what happens with these individuals. They go from place to place. When they screw up here, they go to the next place. And when they screw up somewhere else, they go to the next place. And so my whole thought is, number one, we should prioritize who we're helping. Emergency shelter should be emergency shelter. It should be for families. The house got burnt up. Something, a situation happened. People with children, I would prioritize them before I prioritize. We have single men that are just coming into the area because they know during the wintertime or whenever it gets cold, they can come stay and lay their head, don't have to go to work, and I can get a free meal at this soup kitchen, this soup kitchen, this soup kitchen. And like I said, I'm empathetic. I support these organizations, but I'm fed up with the vagrancy that is happening because now these aren't, most of us know some of these people who walk around on a regular basis. We grew up with some of them, and we know who they are. These are people I've never seen before. These are people I've never seen before that are showing up, and they don't have any connection or pride in Michigan City because I'm here I'm here. Now, the ones that are working and trying to get established, they told me 60% of their people are working. Well, they're working so that they can get housed. But then you got, again, the 40% that are not. That's a problem. That's a problem. Let me read this one. I would like to know the mayor's response to what is happening at the Project Maze 402 Royal Road Data Center. What is the city doing to respond to the October 9th IDEM violations, citing the data center for handling and hauling soil contaminated with TCE? Did you have an environmental and community something in the clawback provisions for the resolutions? We want answers for the city and for your support in calling for an immediate halt to the construction of the site. We need the full remediation of the site and a comprehensive impact assessment. First of all, the IDEM violation, I think, I'm not sure where they're at with this. This is a private project. And again, I'm going to state this, that they went through the proper procedures as far as the EPA and IDEM. Yes, they were cited and they're resolving it, and they have a certain time period to respond in which they are, and they have. So I've asked them, like I said, with this website, to make sure they put any citation and any response on that website for the public to see, not for the city to go out and spend money on their private site. On their private site, I'm not going to pay for a study for an individual site. So this is a private project, not a city project. So we're not going to pay for a private project. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't know if you have any updates, Wendy.
No, I was gonna ask you to use the microphone.
Oh,
You're so nice to me. Thank you for being so sweet about it.
Wendy's going to
I'll
answer.
take care of it. Thank you. Absolutely. So thank you very much. Yes, let me say a couple of things. The property at Royal Road has been industrial and commercial manufacturing for over 70 years. Before Project Maze, actually Phoenix, bought it in 2022, there have been years and years of environmental documentation about the conditions on the site. And in fact, the site is cleaner today than it ever has been in its history. Now, this is all in the Indiana Department of Environmental Management virtual file cabinet. It is all available. It is difficult for the public. It is difficult to maneuver, and I can understand that, but all of that documentation is there. This is a documented brownfield. Actually, the landfill that was on site there that went unattended for many years has been closed. They followed all of the regulations from IDEM and US EPA in regard to that matter. So they were cited. I spoke with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management myself, the case manager. They have 30 days to respond. They're not concerned about public health or any concerns of that nature at this time. It's all documented. There should be a response soon. It's mostly a record-keeping exercise and obviously making sure that they're staying in compliance. And so that is the latest update. We should know a little bit more in the next couple weeks, and then that documentation will also be published because it's all public record. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So you'll be able to see that on the new website because it's all out there for the public. It can just be hard to find sometimes.
Yep.
Does that help answer the question?
Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely.
There's a question back there, and that was her question.
Oh, yes. No, we're going to bring you the microphone.
I would just like to say, Mayor Angie, respectfully, I don't think the city can keep wiping its hands clean of the data center. This is trichloroethylene. This is a carcinogen that they were trucking through the communities, hauling through, uncovered. Understanding that is an extreme exposure. We have Paladin, right? We have developing mines nearby, right? We have Krieger on the other end. And unbeknownst to us, they were doing this. And they said, oh, it was the one site. And then sure enough, it's 3 other sites. So what else are they hiding? And so I really want to see, I understand it's a private property, but y'all can't wipe your hands clean, especially when you granted millions of dollars of tax abatements to this project. And I asked that question is within the clawback provisions, if there were environmental or community protections within that. And I don't think that was the case. I know they were financial in nature, but I think, again, revisit that and think about, y'all had the power and you didn't have to keep it or give it up without having those provisions, without having those proper protections. And so, again, it's me reiterating, please don't wipe your hands clean of it. Just because it's a private property does not mean that this isn't a city matter. This is impacting all of us. They're only in the construction period, right? This is going to be a big data center and be a huge development for the city. We have to really be doing our due diligence, taking a stand. We want you to be able to be watching what is happening. We shouldn't have to be, we kept reporting these violations to IDEM, and that is when they ultimately took notice, went to the site and cited them, right? That was because of us, but we're asking for you to also bear witness and watch what is happening, be in the know, and have these concerns. This is not something that, we can watch and see them come into compliance. This is a huge violation. And this is just the beginning. So please engage us in this conversation. And I appreciate the back and forth because we have not had that with the city council thus far.
Thank you for your comments. So I know we have Councilman Beatrice here. I don't know if you, oh, I thought I saw another council person here. I'm sorry. I saw your glasses and it looked, any department heads that had any additional updates? I know that I got a couple more updates. Any other council folks? Not council people. Department heads? Fire? Anybody? All right. Any questions? Okay, a couple more things. So tomorrow, just a couple of updates and dates. And then, like I said, tomorrow, I know that SNAP, that came up in a different meeting. We have about 1,200 families that use SNAP in the 46360 area code. So tomorrow, we have a meeting at City Hall with all of the pantries and soup kitchens. Twofold. We're going to talk about food, but we're also going to talk about the soup kitchens and what they provide and where and how they do it. Because I think there is overlap in services amongst multiple groups. And I think if the government shutdown continues for a period of time, that I don't know if the state will step in with any services, but I will tell you, I have friends that work in different, especially in Chicago, that have told me that they are going through protocols around looting, about increased theft, different things that may happen. Because remember, you have families, if they don't receive the benefit, they're losing anywhere from $300 to $900 in food assistance each month. That is huge. Yes, sir. Well, hold on.
Good evening, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I was in Indianapolis yesterday and got a report from some people who were at the Finance Committee that chair that, and they introduced using some reserve funds to cover November's payment to cover that, and everything was kind of going good. There were a few amendments, and then it was voted down 3-2 by party line, so it's dead. So they don't want to move it forward.
All right. So, wow.
There was an attempt to do it. They thought it was going to go through.
All right. So we're going to be meeting tomorrow. We have some funds available that we were going to use for a holiday give back, and we have some mayor's charitable fund money that we're probably going to look at some additional supports for food baskets of some sort for families. So we'll be looking to do that and work with the city council if we need to do an additional appropriation and do something else for that. The other thing is on the Board of Works next week, we got it in late, so we had to make an addendum. We are pushing, and we didn't get to it fast enough for November, but beginning in December, transit will be free. Our bus system in December. So we have to go through at least 2 public meetings for that to happen. So I've asked our transit director, Robin Tillman, to draft something, and we got that added to the Board of Works agenda for Monday. So we will not, starting in, because people had already purchased, to do a refund is almost like an act of Congress. So starting in December, so we will, it'll be free, the transit will be free. Hopefully ridership will go up because of that, and that will be helpful. Did you have a question around transit? Transit?
But it's not on the transit. I just need your time for the meeting for the soup kitchen and the pantry. And the reason I'm asking you that is because New Hope has started a food pantry. And we
I
didn't know
did get a
exactly what
representative
time.
who's attending from New Hope tomorrow. I did get an email.
Okay.
So I have
Thank
someone.
you.
Yep, I got someone. So, so bus service will be free starting in December. Again, hopefully tomorrow we'll come out with some solutions, but we're going to talk about the homeless situation with those organizations because many of them were in the meeting with us. The other part, to go back, we had our opioid grant that went out. We received, I think, 17 or 18 submissions to the tune of $415,000, and we only have $160,000 to give out. Some of those were very comprehensive programs. Some of it was around reconnecting families and things like that. A lot of it was around mental health and also some youth prevention and things of that nature. So we have not pulled together the committee yet, because we were dealing with data breach and everything else you can think of. But some very good applications for that. But again, we know there's a need, but $400,000 in requests for $160,000 is what we got. So I know that's going to be difficult, a difficult decision. But prevention is a big thing, and we'll see what happens. So that'll be happening over the next several weeks, and hopefully won't extend after November, that we can notify people of their awards for that. The opioid grant that I wrote was a $150,000 match starting for next year, and that was really around encampment. So if you see something, say something. I know a lot of times we have people who come to council meetings, but they never come to the city, to my office or submit anything. If you have addresses, my guys will tell you that if I see something, I immediately text 1,000 of them and say, I just saw this. And what I told them in our staff meeting is, you all, a lot of them drive through the city and ride around, police officers too, and you ride past something and you didn't say anything. That's a problem. And I've told them that. Because when I see it, I immediately text them and say, who's going over to get it? So again, I think if you see something, say something, and we'll get to it. You know, there was conundrum. Oh my God, they're not doing fall pickup, because we're picking up every day. And believe me, it's not just refuse. You just heard that refuse is doing refuse and they're doing special pickups too. But now you got the street department doing it. You got Vector doing it as well. So it's not just one department that's responsible. It's all departments. And we're trying to make sure that, that happens. So we will continue to do that. All right. And we got 15 more minutes. 15 more minutes. All right. Got a couple more questions. Yes, Tommy.
Yeah, this is Tommy Kolovic. First thing, I got to get back to the cyber attack. Is the payroll deduction information for all the current and former employees and the current and former board and commission members, have they been breached? That's a big concern everybody's had on social media.
Right, and again, all those people are going to be notified. Or we're doing preliminary notifications now, and then letters are going to be sent out. So again, those forensics and all that, all the investigation is still occurring. In my opinion, and what I've shared with our team, and we just had a meeting yesterday, is that I'm making sure that anybody who's on the board and commission or has served on the board and commission is an employee, a pensioner, that they all get notified.
And so I want to ask a question about, oh gee, I forgot. I know you talked about the gas station ordinance, this nuisance ordinance. Are you going to close the gas stations between midnight and 5 a.m. like Mayor McDermott's done over in Hammond?
Again, that'll be a council decision. I did send that ordinance over for them to review, but the nuisance ordinance, I did not get it over, because that's when we went through the, I haven't sent that over to them yet.
One final thing, as far as getting back to the encampments and all that, we do already have an ordinance. You talked about, not being able to trespass. We already have that under the books. We went under this when we did our rental registration ordinance. This is mostly for the fire marshal and the planning director. I'm glad they're both here. It is under 22-301. I'm just paraphrasing. For the purpose of making inspections, the fire marshal and planning director are authorized to enter, examine, and survey all reasonable dwelling units, rooming units, and premises at during reasonable time. So they can go on anywhere during reasonable times to do an inspection, like if they're having an encampment.
But we're talking about trespassing, though.
Oh, okay.
We know that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but trespassing is something different.
Go Wolves, go from Beef Valpo tomorrow night. Go move on to something positive.
Thank you, Tommy. Yes, Brian.
On the see something, say something, I've tried calling in several times. Trash cans is one of the things. Who do I call? Well, I call the police. I get, they tell me, well, it's not theirs, this and that. Is there a central clearinghouse where we can call and know something's going to get done? Or do we just have to keep calling departments until we get the right person?
I think that you have a valid point, but I will say that our phones, especially for the last month, it's been a month. It's been a long month. So the phone systems were impacted during that breach as well. So that was, one of the situations that occurred. And so we're evaluating all the phones. We didn't bring all the phones back. So if you have something, get it to the mayor's office. We'll make sure it gets to the right, if you want a clearinghouse, the clearinghouse is right there. She's right there over there, right? If you want to get it done, she will get it done. So that's the clearinghouse for the time being. And if you stop in, we're the clearinghouse. Whether it's me, Kelly, or Isabel, one of us will take care of it. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Hi again. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate open floor. Is there a plan? I own North Star Properties. We've talked before. I'm the Wicked Witch of
No, you're
homeless
not.
people
Don't
on
say that.
Facebook.
Don't say that.
Is there a plan to get like foot patrol or something? I mean, there was
That
a stabbing.
started, yes.
Yeah, there was a stabbing at 7:30.
Oh, you
Like-
weren't here when I talked
no,
about that.
I had a client. I was
Okay,
late.
so yes.
Okay.
Yes, all that, they have already put the plan and it's
Okay.
already started.
Okay.
I didn't want to broadcast the actual
Yeah.
times and schedules and all that,
Okay.
but that has already been shared with all the shifts
Okay,
and the patrols.
excellent.
So that has already happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just a concern. I know
Yep.
Renee from Paris Bridal, our kids go to Marquette. They walk to our offices and stores after school and
Yep.
it shouldn't be like that.
The other
you know?
thing, I'm not going to remove the benches. I'm not going to do that. But all the picnic tables that we had for the farmer's market and all that, I told the park department to pick those up tomorrow.
Thank you.
So those will be gone. Yep.
I'm a retired Michigan City Transit driver, and I can tell you right now, in December, your streets will be clear because all of the homeless people will be on those buses. They can ride for an hour before they have to get off.
We're going to have to put some rules in place. You're
Well,
right.
those were the rules when I
You're
was a
right.
driver.
Thank
And
you.
we've done that free ride before.
Thank you.
And I've always, felt that was good, but you also have to remember that driver's going to walk to the back of the bus and they're hiding underneath the seat.
Okay.
They're
Thank you for
looking
that.
to stay on. They can only stay on for one ride.
Okay, that's
So,
good to know.
but just a heads up, streets are going to be clear in December.
Thank you for that. I will make sure Robin gets that message so that we don't have that. All right. Trick or treat is tomorrow from 5 to 7. 5 to 7 tomorrow. No one comes to my neighborhood. I don't know why, and I always have good candy. But trick or treat is tomorrow from 5 to 7. I would like to thank Uptown and all of the sponsors for this past Saturday's event. It was packed downtown. I appreciate everybody that participated and all the businesses that participated. It was a great showing. We do have the leaf pickup schedule here. Sean is here. If you have any questions about leaves, ask them. But we do have that here for you to take as well. And then Terry, the Festival of Lights is on December the 6th. And again, that would be the parade. It's going to be at Barker Hall this year, the celebration with, all the treats and all that good stuff. Oh, thank you, Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Councilwoman Nancy Mullenhour is here as well. But again, if you got something, if you see something, say something. I mean, that is what we have to do right now. And again, I will provide an update after we have a meeting tomorrow. We have a meeting on November 19th with the council. We'll have another follow-up to the meeting that we had 2 weeks ago about the homeless situation. Then I'm meeting with the Nest on tomorrow afternoon with their board of directors. So again, we will continue to work through this and figure this out. Increase patrols, foot patrols during this time as well. But if you see something, say something. That's the biggest thing. And again, the trash, we will continue, to do that, but you got to report it to us, right? Got to report it to us. So again, thank you for coming, and we'll see you at the next one. The next one is I got it right here, and I'm going to tell you what it is real quick. One more. It is come on. December the 10th. December 10th.
When is that workshop?